What's up, everyone? It's Mike Bendy, back for episode 2. Peace and love. I'd like to start this episode off with a happy birthday to Mr. Jaco Pastorius, one of the greatest musicians of all time, hands down. So happy birthday, Jaco. Today we have a very special guest, one of my favorite musicians on the planet and beyond. You may know him as a Fodera artist and also very important musician, artist, author, just inspiring folks all over the world. Can't thank him enough for being here today. So our special guest has also brought a very special instrument with him. So stay tuned for all the details. We have Mr. Victor Lamont Wooten, one of the best bass players ever. I'm truly grateful that he's here spending time with us out of his busy schedule on tour with the Flecktones currently.
Yep.
I'll start off. Remember the first time I saw you play, it was 1997. My mother drove me and my brother John to Morristown, New Jersey to see the Flecktones. She hung out in the car, thank you Mom for hanging out, and it was just mind-blowing.
Wait, for the whole concert?
Yeah,
she just sat in the car.
Out. Yeah.
Wow. What moms will do for our kids.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then later that year, I was a junior in high school. I actually interviewed you in New York for my school newspaper.
Your school newspaper. Yeah, wow.
And you took the time out again.
I had to find that. I want to read that.
Yes, I was looking at my mom's attic. It will be found, and we will post it.
Nice. Very cool. All right.
And also, I was at the legendary Bass Day 98 video. I'm sure everyone's seen.
That was a good day. I think Felix was on that, wasn't he? I think one of those shows, like Felix.
I think it was 99.
99?
Yes.
Where the next one where Felix was there. Yeah. So
came in with the looper.
Oh, right. Exactly. That was the second one.
What brings you in?
Well, I'm playing a show with Bela Fleck and the Flecktones at Town Hall. I don't know when this airs, but we're playing tonight. And I also have written another concerto for bass and orchestra, 3-movement piece where I'm using the bow bass, the Fodera bow bass, quite a bit. And I wanted to get some work on it. I wanted Vinny to carve some more wood out so I can get more room for the bow. And I think as we speak, he's over there carving.
He sure is working hard.
Yeah. So it's fun. It's always a joy for me to get to visit the Fodera factory and get to see my friends Joey and Vinny.
Yeah, it's so exciting to have you here. How did you get started with Fodera? It's been a while, right?
Man, fate, life, whatever you want to call it, made it happen. But my brother, speaking of Morristown, we were spending some time living with our uncle in Morristown, 5 of us brothers, working on a record deal for Hipster Records with a big-time producer out at the time named Kashif. And we were in the studio, and one of the guys that was working with us is a great guitarist named Ira Siegel. I think he still lives here in New York.
I know that name.
And Ira knew that I was in the market for a new bass. And he said, well, I have some friends that are making basses. You want me to call them up? I said, please do. And Joey shows up at the studio with 2 basses. And I think I might have been telling you earlier, I was playing at the time a Series 1 Alembic, which is huge.
Right.
And like I said, I still can't even hit a low F. You know, I got to come over with the thumb. So when Joey walks in with these 2 basses, my Alembic had a zebra wood top, right? Or still has a zebra wood top. One of the basses Joey had, number 11, had a zebra wood top. Bass number 37 had a flame maple. And so I gravitated towards that one because it was different than my Alembic, and I put it in my hands, and it just, it felt so good. I didn't even need to plug it in. It just felt so good. And I fell in love with that bass, and Joey knew I fell in love with it. And so, you know, we were a big record label and supposed to have a big deal and stuff, and, you know, so Joey was like, we'll keep the bass. Just send me the money when you get it. This is in 1983. I didn't know it was their first year making basses, and he didn't know me. Nobody knew me. I'm just this little black kid in the studio. And he leaves me a bass. I mean, not a bass, the bass. And I've never forgotten them for that, you know? And plus the bass was just, I'm still playing it. You know, I'm still using a Monarch Fodera 4-string fretted EMG pickups. That became my sound.
Right.
And because it started with the feel. You know, a lot of people are looking for sounds. I'm looking for feel. I want a bass that allows me to be as comfortable as possible so that I can be me, because that's who you paid to see, right? And when I got that Fodera, it just felt like me. Right now, it has a sound, of course. Right. You know, when I played that bass, it helped me discover more of who I was, because I wasn't fighting the instrument anymore. And a lot of the techniques, because of the PJ style pickups, I worked around that. The EMG bright sound, lighter gauge strings, I just gravitated towards that, and that became my sound. But it started with a feel.
Right.
And I recommend that for anyone. Is to go for what feels good.
So today Victor brought in his bow bass.
Yes.
Just had a question. How did that idea come about?
The bow bass, yeah,
yes.
It's a bass that I bow. When I was young, well, I started out as an electric bass player. You know, my brothers, when I was born, my brothers needed a bass player to round out the 5 brothers band. So I became bass. And by the time I was 5, we were doing gigs, touring and playing in nightclubs. So I grew up seeing upright basses in clubs, and they were always big, and I was always small. So when we moved to Virginia, they started music classes, music programs in the school in 6th grade. And I didn't play any wind instrument. There was no electric bass, anything. So I said, I'll get in the orchestra. Okay. Well, what instruments are in the orchestra? Well, double bass. Well, they're too big. I'll choose cello. So I played cello from 6th grade throughout 12th grade and a little bit after. And I ended up playing some double bass too, because there were a few concerts where there weren't enough bass players. So I said, well, I can probably do it. Mm-hmm. And I did it. But cello was a blessing. More melodies, get to play up in the upper register, right, higher than the electric bass is supposed to go. I got to really learn to bow, and I got to really learn to read. Much more than I would have if I had just played double bass and spent a lot of time counting rest, you know?
Right.
So ever since then, I've wanted my bass, my electric bass, to bow. I wanted that sustain. So I found fake ways of doing it. There's a thing that I do on an electric bass where I just fret a note. And I wiggle it. Right. And that little bit of friction up against the frets from the strings gives you sustain, right? But that's not quite it. So finally I was like, man, I just want a bass that I can bow. Mm-hmm. So I thought about it for years and years. I mentioned it to Vinny, and we talked about it. We drew out a few things, but we never did anything. Until 5 or 6 years ago, I got asked to co-write an electric bass concerto for electric bass and orchestra. And I thought, man, this would be perfect for the bow bass. And so I asked, well, when would this performance be, you know? And it was going to be like in a year or so, you know? So I called Vinny, you know, I have this opportunity. I'm going to write this music. Do you think we can get the bow bass together? Because if so, we're going to write for it. And he said, yeah, let's do it. And that's what we did. So we got the first version of the bow bass. So now, fast forward, I just get asked to write another concerto.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I have a performance coming up in May in Chicago with the symphony there. So I brought the bass back to Vinny to get a few modifications. Having played it for quite a few years now, I know what would make it better and make it easier for me to play it. And he's doing that today. So it's a bass. It's, for the most part, a regular fretless bass, 5-string, E to C. I wanted to be able to get up in high cello range. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to bow this instrument this way.
Right.
Cello or upright, because then I might as well play cello. I wanted it to be this way. I wanted to be able to go from playing like this to bowing. So it'd be a vertical bow. And you have to have a radius, a curved fingerboard, so you can bow individual strings. And I had a bunch of ideas of how the bow was going to work, and none of those worked. So I'm just using a regular German bow, right, bass bow for upright bass, and I bow down this way. Mm. And so what Vinny's doing now is taking out more of this curve. Because right here, the bow would go right in here. So we have to take a lot of this out. A lot, so that the bow has room to go. Like what I call the waistline on a violin or a double bass or a cello. So he's taking more. I didn't have to go out as much on this end.
Okay.
Because when I bow the low string, the curve is not as drastic. I'm not going down. But here, I have to get down in there. And I play a lot of high melodies. So Vinny's back there doing that. But the bass is really, really nice. It's a thick neck, thick fingerboard because it has to have a radius and an incredible fretless pizzicato sound. So there's only one pickup up by the neck. When I bow back by the bridge, the bow is softer. So they're going to add another pickup for me. Because right now I've been using a volume pedal. When I bow, I use the volume pedal to do some volume. But you can find pictures of it online on my either Facebook or Instagram. You can find pictures. It's kind of weird looking now with all that wood cut out. But an amazing bass, a great idea that Vinny brought to life. And we're already talking about number 2.
Right.
Oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. But if you can find my website and look for the dates, and maybe you come to Chicago in May, and you can see me play it with at the premiere of the new concerto, a 3-movement piece with electric bass and the Chicago Sinfonietta.
Wow.
And I wrote an orchestral piece based on my song, The Lesson. And so you'll hear the lesson melodies spread out around 3 movements, and it's fun. I play bow bass on 2 movements, and I play my regular 4-string fretted on the 2nd movement, on one of the movements.
That's wild.
So come see it.
Thank you so much, Victor.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Keep up all the great work.
I'll do my best.
Such an inspiration.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We've, over the, how many years? Since 83, 30?
30, well, Fodera's going to be 37 in March.
So 37.
That's how long we know each other.
It's 37 years.
We've had a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
Some of them are dangerous. We won't talk about here.
Top secret.
Top secret.
We've always bounced off each other with the ideas, you know. And Victor would come and we would talk, and as soon as once we start a conversation, then we go into like idea land.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like great chemistry there.
And
we just
ideas
seem
come
to
up.
trigger each other in a good way.
Yeah,
Stimulate one another.
from magic trick basses
Yeah.
to acrobatic basses to the latest, the bow bass.
So the bow bass. So how did we collaborate on that bow bass? That was your idea originally.
It
You
originally
came to us with a need.
Well, yeah, it was something that having played cello as a kid, I wanted the sustained sound on an electric bass. I didn't want to have to sit down and hold it like this. I wanted to be able to play electric and then bow. And in my head, it just had to be possible.
That's right. I remember now. Yes.
And we talked about it for years, and you probably made some sketches.
Right. We talked about it long before we actually made the instrument.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I remember
We were talking about it. We kept, and then we had other things came up in the interim, like, and the yin yang bass is evolving into what it is today.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that was happening all along, but the bow bass was we always talked about it all the time, and then we finally got started on it. Then when we got started on it, then we dove into it.
For me, I don't know how anything is made, and I don't want to know. I'll leave that to you guys. But from my brothers and stuff, they always have crazy ideas, and I inherited that too. And I've always loved yin yang since as a kid. I loved that symbol, and so the thought of a bass, with the yin yang on it or something,
Yeah.
Remember when I first bought the first one out here, the
Of course
fretless
I
one?
do, yeah.
And we opened up the case, and he did not expect to see what he saw.
I mean, I didn't know the whole body,
right.
was
That
going
was
to be,
fun.
and then it wasn't even painted; it was wood.
Yeah,
And the
it was
light
Hollywood.
half
And
was Holly.
Hollywood. My wife's name is Holly, so it was Ebony and Hollywood. I was like, oh, this is
Yeah, there
too
was a
perfect.
sort of
it just seemed so right to do it
built-in
like that.
symbolism there.
too
was kinda
too
cool.
perfect, too perfect.
The first time we did something was he inlaid a little yin yang.
Exactly.
And he thought it was going to be something like that.
Yeah.
And when then we started playing around with the idea, he started making Vinny's the artist. He started making some sketches, and we said, "Wow, look at this!" And then Holly, everything just seemed to be like, this has got to
Like
be
it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was meant to be. Like everything that happened with us was all, even from the first day we met, it was all meant to be.
And when Victor received that first one, we really didn't have any plans to make yin yang basses. We were just making one for you.
Yeah.
You know?
And the first one was fretless. Most people don't know that. Yeah.
But it just sort of took on a life of its own.
Right.
You were playing it all over the world.
Yeah.
And folks started calling and asking, excitedly, "What's that? What's the new model?"
Well, yeah.
So it kind of made itself known.
If
and
you
it
see
became a
it,
model.
you want one. That's the thing,
that's
Yeah.
This is the yin yang standard. If you see one of these, especially one of the earlier ones that had the maple fingerboard,
Yes.
so this curve here came all the way across the fingerboard.
Yeah, the custom ones have made of ebony and holly, and the ebony is sheathed around the end of the fretboard so as to continue the pattern. It's a lot of work, but it looks cool.
And even some of them, the curve goes through the pickups.
Yeah, on some of them, when we do the soap bar pickup, we'll make a 2-piece cover for it so that the black portion is ebony and the light part that crosses into the white area is the same wood as the top, whatever that is.
And then even the
Camouflage.
headstock.
Even the headstock.
I mean, how could you not see this and want one?
Yeah. I mean, everybody who comes up here always asks. It's always the first instrument on the agenda that people ask about.
Yeah, it has become our most
Then they
popular
started
art.
asking us to make different type yin yang imperial.
Yeah.
Anthony Wellington, he wanted a yin yang imperial.
And different types of wood.
And then we started using different woods and making different looking yin yang basses, but still with this symbol, with the yin yang symbol.
Sure, it lends itself well to many variations.
Yeah.
So we're always exploring different
And it's a non-offensive design. It's a design that people look at and they want it. Just like looking at the butterfly. The butterfly's never hurt anybody. Yin yang never hurt anybody.
Right.
and
That's right.
And so it makes a lot of sense. And that we've always been about that. All the three of us have been about that. Bringing out the love. Not the negative. Always positive.
And that's the thing that that I get from Fodera is the people behind it. Joey and Vinny.
Funny, we get the same thing from you.
That's right.
Go figure.
Like attracts like this.
See, the three of us are related. We're brothers.
That's right.
And
we're even our birthdays.
See the
That's
resemblance?
right. He's September 11th. I'm September 10th.
That's right.
And this was all meant to be. It wasn't. This was all forecasted,
Yeah.
from the guys upstairs. So
It's been great, and it will continue to be so.
Yes.
We got a lot of great ideas coming up.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We can't get together without some sparks flying and some ideas, so there's always going to be more goodies to come.
Yes. Always.
Guys, it's time again for the custom of the week. So this week we have an amazing headless Matthew Garrison 6-string made for a good friend of mine, Hank Skalka. So check out this beauty. 33-inch scale, keeping it true to the Matthew Garrison. Features a Bolivian rosewood top, non-solid, has the 3-piece ash neck coming through the center, walnut body, ash tone block, totally jet black ebony fingerboard with abalone dot inlays. It's a wonderful, wonderful butterfly. You could also notice on the side has a double veneer to the body and towards the top of the head. So my friend Hank got this bass used from a customer, the headed twin of this. This is the headless twin. And he loved that bass so much, he came to us and said, hey, can we build a headless 6-string twin brother of my current bass? And of course, we make dreams into reality here at Fodera. And here it is. Sounds unbelievable. He hasn't even played it yet. Sorry, Hank. but you gotta love it. You got killer instrument. Acoustically, super loud, resonant, and I can't believe how tight the B string is for the 33-inch scale. It's unbelievable. All right, guys, we'll see you next time with the next custom of the week. It's time for the top of the week. This week, I found this amazing piece of olive wood in our wood library. Unbelievable figure in there. This can be used for a single cut, double cut, 4, 5, 6 string, 7 string if you're adventurous. Look at that. And this is just one of many that we have in our library. It's got some like bird's eye in there. That's just unbelievable. Be sure to check out our Top Wood gallery to see tops like this and more. Thank you so much for checking out episode 2 of Mondays with Mike with one of my favorite musicians, Victor Lamont Wooten. Make sure to follow us and subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, and check us out on Fodera.com. We'll see you next time. Till then. Edit. Let's do another one.
Yeah, wait, hold on.
Welcome back to episode 2. Wow. Welcome back. It's that time again for the custom of the week. Jazz hands. Exciting. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Where am I? Nope.
One thing we should have said.
And make sure to.